Back to Houston Sports Leader, Sports Radio 610. Kyle Kennedy, Indy Kalu with you till 7 o'clock this afternoon. We're joined on the line right by now by Max Edison, who's kind enough to hang around for another segment with us. Thanks a lot, Max. We appreciate it. We know you got time to spend with your friends and family for this 4th of July. I hope you're having a happy 4th of July, are you?
No, I'm not, man. I'm really not having a good 4th of July, and I'm going to tell you why, Kyle. I knew I was coming on the show. Indy texted me and told me he wanted me on at 5. That basically means I can't drink until I'm done with this.
No, you could have done like Indy and drink before and during the interview.
Yeah,
it's okay.
You must not have listened to our show before. we do things the wrong way.
I got to represent the right way because my parents or some of my family members could be listening, man. So, no, I'm not having a good day so far, but as soon as I get done, it's going to improve incrementally. I can guarantee you that.
All right. Glad to hear that, Max. Now, I want to switch it up, talk a little bit of football with you. I got the Texans. I'm predicting a 12-4 season. Woo! Tell our listeners how crazy I am.
Kyle, I thought you couldn't drink and do dope before you came on the show. Man, I don't know what you're basing that on. I give you the respect of your judgment, but quite frankly, I'm leaning more toward 8-8 this year. So, again, I think there's potential there, but as in most situations with the Texans, there's a lot of unanswered questions. As Indy knows, everything happens in the trenches, both in your offensive and defensive lines. The Texans' defensive line is in trouble because of the gut. We're weak. Amobi Okoye, a guy that I like a great deal, has been a woeful underachiever. I mean, think about this. We're starting Sean Cody, a guy that came from a team that only won, one game his last year there, and he starts for us. What does that say about what you are up the middle? We didn't really draft. We drafted the kid out of Arizona that's a rookie, but he's more of a pass rush specialist from the inside. So, that's always going to bother me a little bit. You flip things around on the offensive side. For the first time, Gary Kubiak has figured out, it kind of helps if you can run a little bit in this league. But in between the tackles, our guards, with Chester Pitts not coming back, I'm not really sure that our guards up the middle and our center are going to be capable enough to move people around and do the things that we need to do. We're going to play the Jets again this year. I think we got Baltimore on the schedule. If Hainsworth is still with the Redskins, we're going to play the Redskins. We play some good teams in addition to the teams in our division. And in those areas where it really counts in the trenches, I don't see us being particularly good. Now, we can play around out on the perimeter and do some things, with our, obviously we've shown that we're a finesse team. We can pass the ball. But again, I just don't see it. Again, I'm not a hater, but I'm big on the Texans because I want our local team to do well. But, I got to be honest with you, this is a make-or-break year for Gary Kubiak. This is his 5th year here, and I've always been a little bit leery of what Gary brought to the table. It's a real nice, feel-good story to bring a Tech Pioneers guy home, an Ag home. But again, you're the guy, Gary Kubiak, that couldn't get a job after the Broncos won 2 consecutive NFL championships. That's virtually unheard of in the NFL. You win championships, you're a coordinator, you get jobs. You look at Gary Kubiak's first year in the NFL, we had the #1 pick overall. Look at the top 5 picks of the top 5 teams that were in that draft. You had New Orleans behind us with a new head coach. They went to an NFC championship and have subsequently won a Super Bowl. You look at the Titans. They were in the dumper. They went to the playoffs twice since us. You look at the Jets. Hell, Eric Mangini got fired, and he went to the playoffs once with the Jets. And, of course, Mike McCarthy has resurrected the Packers. They went to 1 NFC championship, lost to the Giants, and were the ultimate Super Bowl winners, and they were in the playoffs last year. We're celebrating 9-7. So what does that tell you in 5 years? You got 5 teams that all come together by indications of their record and where they drafted. We're still celebrating 8-8, and we're 9-7. So I don't see it yet. And again, I call Mr. McNair the nicest billionaire in Houston because the same thing he did with David Carr, he did it with Gary Kubiak. Instead of him doing the smart thing like Jerry Jones did, who awarded Wade Phillips with, here's a 2-year extension, which basically amounts to a 1 year after you get through the 2010 season. He gave Kubiak 3. Same thing he did with David Carr. We owe him at the most an $8 million let's go in there instead of negotiating, maybe saying, let's give him 3, we split the difference at 4 or 5. He gave David Carr $8 million, and a year later, he was gone.
Well, I understand that argument, but when you 8-8 would be a disaster to me if they go 8-8 this year. But when you talk about Houston celebrating 9-7, I think it should be celebrated because it's the first time it happened. You know, I'm not saying 9-7 by no stretch is what you shoot for. You know, when I used to play, we never went into the season saying, "Ooh, we're gonna go 9-7 this year and not make the playoffs." So overall, it's not something you celebrate, but it is something you celebrate because they've never had a winning season before.
Well, Andy, like I said, if you look at the 5-year period, and again, we know that the cancel years was pretty much a disaster. Okay, if you look at the 5-year period, the Kubiak has been the coach. And as I said, look at the rest of the league. We're in a league with 32 teams, so it's nice that that was our first winning record for what that gets you. But again, look at the 4 teams that drafted behind us the year that Kubiak took over. We had the #1 pick. All of those teams have had some success. All of those teams have made the playoffs at least once, and we're still stumbling around celebrating 9-7. That's not when we buy people buy season tickets and come to the game so we can stumble around at 9-7. And let's face it, that's the last month of the season. When the games meant nothing, we went on a winning streak. So, you know, although I'm pleased, I love the guys, but again, you got to figure out, we got to start adjusting our heights higher than just getting a medal or a ribbon for showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, like Pee Wee football where everybody gets a ribbon, everybody gets a medal, you get some orange slices and a Capri Sun.
Yeah, but at the same time, right now, you're the owner of the team. I'm putting you as the owner. I'm Gary Kubiak. It's the end of the season. I'm walking into your office and I'm saying, look, Mr. Edison, when you first brought me here, you brought me to a 2-14 team. The next year we went 6-10. The year after that we went 8-8. Unfortunately, the year after that we went 8-8. Then we went 9-7. Mr. Edison, I'm getting better. Give me a couple of years, and that 9-7 is going to turn into 11-5, and I'm going to take you to your first playoff. You're telling me after I give you that pitch as the owner of the Texans, you're going to say, no, Kubiak, you're fired?
Well, first of all, you would assume that I bought the team after we hired Kubiak, because I was hired Kubiak. I mean, let's be honest with you. You look at some of the guys I mentioned. We didn't interview Sean Payton. We didn't interview Mike McCarthy. Okay? So again, like I tell you, winning in the NFL means success. Name me the last regime. Let's see, the guy that just got fired from Notre Dame. He was the offensive coordinator
Charlie Weiss
with New England. Charlie Weiss doing that glory year. He got his dream job. The gentleman that was at Cleveland as the head coach for I guess the best year they've had in recent memory, he was the defensive coordinator. You look at all of the Dallas guys. Hell, Noah Taylor got a job still. All of those years when they won the championships at Dallas. So you mean to tell me a guy wins back-to-back championships at Denver and he doesn't get a sniff?
Yeah, it does seem a little odd that would happen. I mean, I think a lot of that went into the fact that maybe most people just assumed that Mike Shanahan was calling all the shots. And you know, you brought up something earlier that, you know, celebrating 9-7. I agree with you on that. I agree with both of y'all actually, Indy and you, Max. I agree it is something to be celebrated one time and one time only because it's never happened before. But the goal has to start becoming, for Houston sports fans in all aspects, it has to be playoffs or bust. If you don't show us the results, your job's on the line. Don't you think that it just has to be a mindset change from the ownership in Houston, was the Astros, Rockets, Texans, whatever, and the fans in Houston? Because it seems like we've accepted mediocrity.
Well, one of my guys, one of my favorite players on the Texans, Vontae Leach, made the comment last year in minicamp that it's playoff or bust. And one of the things that really disappoints me about the Texans team, and ND will know this because he spent some time with us, we don't really have an identity. You know, ever since we came into inception, we've been basically just a collection of guys. We don't have an identity. Frank Bush is trying to bring that identity to the defense, to where we're nasty, where we're aggressive. We punch guys in the face. Offensively, we're a finesse team. I think people have respect for you when they can really identify that, you know what, the Texans might not be fancy, but I tell you what, they got an offensive line and a mentality that they're going to shove this ball down your throat and impose their will on you. Hell, that's all the Tennessee Titans do.